Good morning, good morning, good morning. You are tuning in to the Urban Conservative. I'm Chaz Neal, activist based in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and we're being brought to you today by the Leon Black Independent Media. We are all about transparency, truth, and accountability. The Urban Conservative is the news on the streets, gun violence, crime, politics, and how we solve our community's most hardest issues. How can we change our communities for the better? Let's get back to family, community, foundational roots. Let's make sure nobody gets left behind. Shut up and help. Um, Today, we are, it's election season. Elections are coming up November 8th. Uh, and I thought we'd get back to the roots of it. How do we get um, that change? How do we get back to um, a better America? How do we get back to being just better people? Um, and I say that because a lot of it depends on, a lot of things out here, a lot of issues right now with gun violence, homelessness, drugs, uh, Roe versus Wade, abortion. There's so many other things that um, people are going to go to the voter box and who you're going to vote for. Um, but this is why I say that it's the ballot or the bullet. It's liberty or it's death. It's freedom for everybody or freedom for nobody. Uh, and I say that for a couple of reasons because we all live in different environments. We all live in different predicaments, and we all go to the ballot for different reasons, for different issues. And what I'm asking for is solidarity when we go to the ballot. I see a lot of people out here, and again, I'm Minnesota. I live in Minnesota, so the politics I'm going to talk about is Minnesota politics because it's local, and I want people to focus locally. When you go to the ballot, I live in congressional district number 5 in Minnesota. So my candidates are Ilhan Omar and Cicely Davis. Now, I'm going to say this, that Omar is a Democrat who has global issues. She's a globalist. She's a capitalist. And she doesn't care about our community. But yet I see Black leaders. I see clergy, Black clergy, that are out here promoting Omar, but yet say they're for the people. That's not for the people. That's not for the people. Because if you're for the people, then hold your candidate, hold your party affiliation accountable, because isn't this what this is about? Accountability, truth, and transparency is what we talk about. Am I correct or am I correct, John Taylor?
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the one thing that I since I got out here, May 25th, 2020, is truth and transparency. Uh, and when we talk about that, we're gonna get into, so the first story we're gonna get into, not even really a story, but it's an article, and it's "The Left Faces a Reckoning on Criminal Justice." Uh, I'm local. When I say that locally, this is what we're talking about, is local politics. Um, and I live in a lot of the inner city areas. Um, and this article is done by Hannah Myers and was done on October 18th, 2022. And a lot of it is as the midterm approach, left-leaning candidates from Pennsylvania to Oregon to Wisconsin have come under intense pressure over growing violence and disorder in American communities. particularly in majority black neighborhoods, where even everyday actions like sending kids to school, attending a baseball game, or going to the lobby of one's building to get mail are increasingly fraught with danger. These neighborhoods are experiencing what criminologists call a breakdown in collective efficiency. Coined by Harvard's Robert Sampson, the term refers to the degree of trusting among community members and their willingness to intervene to mitigate problems such as crime. Collective efficiency is how a neighborhood establishes and broadcasts expectations of appropriate and law abiding behavior.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I don't really see that a lot in inner city areas, but I do see that when you go out to nicer areas, areas that are taken care of, that are not left behind by our government. When you go to, let's even talk about the difference of, let's say, a Minneapolis and a Lancaster.
Right.
Minneapolis is almost 500,000 people, and Lancaster is what, 70,000?
60,000. Yeah.
60,000. So that's a big difference. Now, I've seen pictures of Lancaster. I've actually been in Philadelphia, and a couple other places in Pennsylvania. Um, but what I've noticed is, let's say, cities like Lancaster. Now, when you go to, let's say, a bigger populated area like Philadelphia, can you tell the difference of the way that your community in Lancaster is taken care of, let's say, an area of where you could afford to live in Philadelphia?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Um, for well, now, Lancaster and Philly definitely have a lot of similarities. However, population and history does and demographics play a huge part in the differences. And a place like Lancaster, although it is a very dense city, just like Philly, it is surrounded by a lot of older, white, wealthier demographics that have more of a tighter grip on local politics and policies within Lancaster City as well. Whereas Philly suburbs don't give a fuck about
Right.
Philly politics so much as they can roam the playground of what Philadelphia is and known as, you know?
And you guys have a very big um, Amish population as well, too, right?
Yeah, but the Amish population, like they are a problem, but it's not necessarily the problem of them. The problem more so comes from the white Christian nationalism that you see Mennonite communities, and not to say that there isn't like rampant abuse within Amish communities, but they don't have a part in the politics. The white Christian
Right.
nationalists do. And they're not only a threat to Lancaster County in central Pennsylvania, but they are a threat to the country. Dave Mastriano, super religious, quote unquote Christians like him, are the ones that are very problematic for his country and worse than Trump.
Now, see, I'm glad that you bring up Master, whatever his name is,
Mastriano.
the Republican.
Mastriano.
Yeah, I'm glad you bring up the Republicans, because uh, the part that I want to get into, and when I say that locally, because I know for me, my area is controlled by liberals.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I don't know where predominantly your area is, but I know for, let's say,
Well, Lancaster City is straight up liberal, but
okay,
everything else in the county is not.
right. So, uh, and this is where I want people to realize is, everybody says that, and the Republicans like worse than Trump, other certain things of because of their political. Now, is it necessarily the politics, or is it their personal agendas? Because what I want people to understand is we sit here and we're not going to vote for a master, whatever his name is, uh, and I don't even care about saying his name right, but Doug, we'll just call him Doug, Dougie Doug.
For real, yeah.
Call him Dougie Doug.
Dougie Doug.
So let's say voting for a Dougie Doug, is that going to hurt black people worse than voting for a Shapiro? Because at the end of the day, Democratic policies are honestly no worse than Republican policies.
Mm-hmm.
For the simple fact that the Democrats, and it is Truthful Tuesday. I'm sorry about that. It is Truthful Tuesday. Thank you, my brother, for that.
Of course, and you speaking the truth, so it is what it is.
Right. So I want people to realize this is that in the black communities, collective efficiency had increased in recent decades due to law enforcement policies aimed at signaling and enforcing good behavior, which fundamentally builds community-wide trust. Now, has that worked in our communities? I really, because the policies that I see that are Democratic led, they've put harm on us. They put harm on what do you, so I'm reading the comments, and I can't stand people are so misinformed, not understanding local elections are most important for the communities we live in. Get out and vote. Go vote. Yes, and I'm going to tell you, I don't know. The next comment was how, and if you're, I'm going to assume, I'm going to guess that you're talking about the policies, because, and I'm glad Mr. Ragsdale is on. If people don't know who Frank is, he is an activist out of Akron, Ohio, boots to the ground. He does Walker Wednesdays.
Right.
For justice for Jalen. Never going to forget that. We need justice for Jalen and plenty other names. But what I want to talk about is issue number 10. That is a great issue. I'm not saying not to vote on it, but people have to understand that the wordage in that issue, because the people do not get to decide what's in the verbiage to issue number 10. That goes back to the council to decide on. So, and if people, I know people have said that if you look at Cleveland's, which is a great example, because the people voted on that, but the policies are not what the people wanted in it. And I want people to understand that.
Chaz, remember my uncle that you watched the live of one day? That's Uncle Mike. That's Michael Freeman, the comment that you're seeing on the screen. It says black people are no longer going to the polls to vote for Democrats or Republicans. We are far more politically informed than years ago. This is why the Democrats are so supportive of illegals. They hope to replace the black vote. Well said, my brother.
I love this, because you, Mr. Freeman, you are so right. And I'm going to say why you are so right. Because if you looked at what they were behind in 2020, it was the that Voting Act.
Right.
If you look at it, black people were not specified in there. We
talk about it, brother.
As BIPOC. So that bill, and if you looked at it, immigrants were more written in there than we were.
Talk about it.
But yet they wanted black people to get behind that, and that wasn't even for us. But because of that's why I do not like being called BIPOC.
Voting is a business transaction. If you are not getting anything out of the deal, it is also your civic duty to stay out of the process. Preach. Well said, Unc. Well said.
Preach. And that's what we do. We don't get anything. We get more trauma. We get more bloodshed. We get jailed longer. All the time while these people are telling us to go vote for them, they're not thinking about that the person that you're going to vote for is about to lock up your child for longer, or it's going to get your child killed because of the policies that they're putting out.
It's a matter of holding people accountable. Right. Holding the people that we pay accountable. If you're not going to do the job and you don't want to get out, we're going to stop enabling you, and you can get the fuck out then.
Right. And see, and this is where I want to go back into, is because They said that proactive policing made it clear, if necessary, bad actors would be removed from neighborhoods through arrest, prosecution, and incarceration. As a result, more Black Americans lived on streets that felt wealthier and free of signs of disorder like drug dealing and prostitution. More Black kids could feel safe going to school, knowing that gang activity was monitored. Neighbors in Black communities had space to develop a shared sense of trust and social control. Now, has that happened? No, no, because if you look at it, the policies have made it where the police are less over in where areas that are populated more, and the police are focused on more areas where there is more businesses, where more tourists go.
Talk about what's going on where you live up in North Minneapolis. How many police are actually present there, or is it more so the police cars are just there with their lights on, parked with no one in the car?
Now,
and there's crime rampant.
Thank you, because it's called Operation Endeavor, which is a military tactic of where you put vehicles out to be seen. So they got their lights on, they have their right, Black Wall Street. Black Wall Street. But what they're doing is they're making it seem like they're being out more and that they're focusing on areas. But see, what they're not saying is that crime moves. That crime isn't just in one, cemented in one area. So if police are being present to one area, that crime is going to move. So that's what it's done. And instead of them following the crime, they're like, oh, we did our job because now that area isn't bad. But see, that all it is going further. And that's what they're doing is you see they're redlining again, and people don't even understand it because what they're doing is moving the poor people out of the areas that we're in right now and trying to force them to move out to the suburbs.
Talk about it. Now, there's a whole new migration trend that they're talking about. We had in the 60s, 50s and 60s and early 70s, white flight.
Right.
Well, guess what's happening now? They're either fleeing to what's called exurbs or more rural areas because there are more people of color, immigrants and Blacks moving to the suburbs, and there are more millennial whites moving to the inner city. Those are the gentrifiers. These are new trends that won't really make sense and that won't take hold within our culture, that we won't really talk about and understand for a couple more decades. However, we know and understand trends now. We know that this is going on currently. What are we doing about this for our communities that are taking part in these trends? Because when we're going to these suburban areas, and we had talked to Damon on Purple Room Politics about this, he's talking about spreading out. Well, what happens when we spread out? We get more diluted. So what is the better option when it comes to voting, quote unquote, specifically about that? Do you want to go to less populated areas and spread out, or do you want to stay in the areas that you're in and continue to combat this system when it comes to like the Senate vote, for example, and how disorganized it is?
Right. I sent you a picture.
Bet.
It's a cartoon. Correctly, it's from 2020. This is something that they have pushed in politics for a very long time. Now, I want people to understand this. So this is, I'm from Minnesota. This is right here is a bus that is Chicago to Red Wing. I used to live in Red Wing, Minnesota. St. John's, Mayo. You get this picture right there.
Yeah.
So if people don't understand what a TIF is, when this cartoon was thought of, in Red Wing, there was a property that was owned by Mayo. They sold it to the city, and there was a company that wanted to put subsidized housing, affordable housing in that area. Now, how they scared people to vote against it was simply this cartoon says it all. Uh, because when people think of affordable housing, they think of poor black people. They think of
Right.
violent poor black people or violent poor people, period, right? Uh, so if people don't see what a TIF is, that is a tax increment that is broke down over years and years where not only the city saves money, but also the company, the construction company, the
Right. Right.
realtor, all save
See,
money over
the
time.
thing is, the thing is now is that that's not happening because there's the whole not in my backyard going on. So these
Right,
contracting companies are no longer constructing these kind of projects. So
right.
where are our people going? They're getting locked up. But I digress. That's a whole nother topic. The thing is that these companies are no longer making these kind of things. They're making affordable housing, but affordable housing is for white people. Poor
Right,
people can't afford affordable housing. Not only
right,
that, single unit housing is like 95% of the residential space in the country.
yep,
Housing for apartment buildings and complexes and duplexes are a very, very small percent of the available land in the country, which means that our people are still being forced into small spaces that we actually still can't even afford as it is.
right.
So what is happening? We're getting forced into poverty even deeper. We're getting forced into criminalization and homelessness, houselessness. What happens then? We get forced into mental health. So guess what happens? You either die, you get forced into a mental hospital, or you get forced into jail. That's where they want
Talk
us,
about it.
along with poor white people too. But this photo speaks volumes in that sense because not only is it ignorant, it's missing the point altogether. It is based in ignorance and what white people think goes on in the country.
Now, would you to me, I wouldn't call it racism in this cartoon, but what I will
It's
say
dog
it is
whistly. It's dog whistly, which is racist.
it's
It's
fear mongering,
subliminal. It's passive. It's passive aggressive. Call it what it is. Don't make it
negrophobia.
cute. Yeah,
Because of what
racist.
they're saying is that everybody from Chicago has guns and shoots.
Yeah, that is a
That,
dog
that's
whistle, and it's racist.
right. Oh yeah, definitely, definitely. But this is something that, and I want people to understand is that I guarantee it. If you look at this man's cartoons, because I've been into it with this guy a lot when I lived in Redmond, a lot, and how much the Republican Eagle, which is the local newspaper, published this man's cartoons. Uh, and before we take a commercial break, I want to get into this next story because the second half we're going to talk about the bullet or the ballot and what that means. Uh, and really, this story, and I will put the after the show is over, we will put the links to these stories so that people can
Already
read.
on it, my brother.
But I know I didn't want to do it on Facebook. Put the link because you know they like to.
Yeah, I got it on the StreamYard, so they can't do
Okay,
nothing.
but this is by Adam Coleman, and the mainstream media lied to me about conservatives. Uh, and I want people to, because I'm gonna over the rest of the week, I am gonna talk about this article that he wrote, Adam wrote, because it honestly plays a lot for me uh, and how I got to be who I am today and what I call myself today, conservative, because it doesn't have anything to do about politics for me. It has to do a way of life and how I see family. Um, so that's what I want people to understand, and I want people to understand there is more people out there like Adam that are blind because not I'm not going to say blind, but are learning of who they actually are as black men, women,
Talk about
children. Because I know for me myself, when I got into the BLM movement, when I had police brutality, I went into it head first.
Yep.
Uh,
Same.
you know what I'm saying? I didn't do a lot of research. I didn't just follow behind it. But when I started researching, I didn't like certain people because of the things that I was learning.
Yep.
Um, but I was figuring out I was more compatible with people that consider themselves conservatives, and forming relationships with them. But yet, I used to want to fight these people,
Right.
and I didn't even know
And still
who.
probably do.
Right. No, not really. It's more that I want to fight the people that I was following blindly behind, because the people that I'm supposed to hate because they call themselves conservatives, or they may vote for a Republican this election, next election they might vote for a Democrat, because they vote on the policies. They vote on what is that person doing for their community, what is that person doing to help in their community. That's what they vote on. So I started to realize that the things that I was rocking behind, like the defund the police, is a lie. They'll never ban no knock warrants. I'm going to be 100% honest. That's dangerous. That's dangerous. But we do have to have better ways of policing. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to be 100 on that. I would prefer that we get rid of police, period. But right now, and where we're at in times, that's not plausible. That's not something that should even be considered until we can get rid of the core issue of why we have the violence, why we have that people have to be out committing crimes to get ahead in life. Until we can figure that out, then no, we need to have policing. So, but we have to reform that policing so that policing is done equally. Because right now, that policing, when they come over north and they see a young black male in a nice car, they automatically think he's a drug dealer.
Right.
Or they think this, they think that, when he probably goes to work, has very good credit, and busts his ass maybe 2 jobs to drive that Benz, to enjoy life, but yeah, gets pulled over because of the color of his skin. That's what we're talking about. And it's these policies that allow the police to do that. And a lot of those policies are failed democratic policies, and we don't want to see it for what it really is, because we'll vote for a Biden and then he'll put a prohibition on weed charges. That didn't help nobody in America.
Right.
Nobody got out of prison for that.
Talk about it.
Nobody got out of prison for that. All that did was they got people's records cleared. And who cared? It was weed. Nobody got out of prison. The 6,500 people that helped, not one of them were still locked up. And if it did help them, the people that are locked up, it just took off the weed charges. They had other charges on there.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So didn't help nobody get out of prison. It just helped.
It's all the way that it looks for the mass population, and they're all going to say, "Oh, this is great, this is amazing," but you don't really know what actually is going on, nor do you care. Just like when it comes to Kanye West, no one wants to talk about all the other shit that we discussed. They want to focus on the thing, the sensationalized part of things. Let's talk about the things that actually matter. No, y'all don't want to.
Nope. They don't want to talk about it, because the media is the most powerful entity on earth. They have the power to make the innocent guilty and to make the guilty innocent. Media has the power to influence minds, ideas, behaviors, and attitudes of the masses. And with that, we will be right back after this commercial break.
It's time for tea. Tune in.
living. I am breathing. I am healing. I am grieving. I am conscious. I am not hard pressed. I am not affected. I am corrected. I am no longer neglected. I am perfected. I am attracted.
Yo, we're back. We're back. So this second half, we are going to talk about what Malcolm X meant when he said the ballot or the bullet. Nice coffee break.
That's right.
So we suffer political oppression, economic exploitation, and social degradation. Degradation.
Got you,
All
my
of them
brother.
from the same enemy. The government has failed us. You can't deny that. Anytime you're living in the 20th century, 1964, and you're walking around here singing, "We shall overcome," the government has failed you. This is part of what's wrong with you. You do too much singing. Today, it's time to stop singing and start swinging. And
Talk
honestly,
about it.
I see so much of that, how this is 1964 that I just read from, and it's 2022, and we're still out here singing "We Shall Overcome."
That's what, 60 years later? Come on
Right. Damn near. You know what I'm saying? Why are we still out here? But we still have people dying.
now. Mm-hmm.
So we're out here still singing and not swinging. I don't understand that, because, and no, you can't fight fire with fire. But see, you can if you're educated. You can if you're free. And it's come to a time of where, are we sick and tired of being second-class citizens? Are we tired of being left behind? Because that's what they're doing. All these failed democratic policies, no child left behind. Our children are being left behind every day. And what are we doing about it?
Mm-hmm.
We're getting mad because they want to put that black teachers can't get fired first. Why aren't y'all getting mad that the seniors that are graduating most of them can't even read at an 8th grade level? And it's only gotten worse since COVID. But y'all want to be mad about, because they don't want to fire the black teachers first because of the systemic problems in their tenure system. Come on, you guys got to dig deeper. And when I speak, I don't speak as a Democrat or a Republican nor an American. I speak as a victim of America's so-called democracy. You and I have never seen democracy. All we've seen is hypocrisy. Now, that's all I've seen, because everything that they tell me is going to help only makes the situation worse.
Right.
And I'm going to be 100 with that. That defund the police. No, they've defunded our communities. They've left our communities behind. They've left our children's behind.
I never thought about it like you. Right. You're so right.
Because what have they done? We just seen, you know what? And it's been a day and I really didn't want to speak about this today. But if people didn't see it yesterday, there was a school shooting in St. Louis. I watched that live, and all I could overhear and sit here and think about was everybody's talking about pray for them kids. Let's pray. And all I could think about, pray. Y'all need to be strapped.
Right.
Because praying is not going to help no more. We need to get away from and see again. Thank you for posting this and putting this up. Is be peaceful, be courteous, obey the law, respect everyone. But if someone puts his hands on you, send him to the cemetery.
Talk that shit, brother.
That's what self-protection is about. That's what self-protection is about, because that's what we need to be, because the police ain't out here trying to serve and protect. See, but we can, and we do have that right. And we have to use that right. It's called the Second Amendment. The Second Amendment. Since y'all want to talk about all these amendments, all these our constitutional rights, then let's start using. There's a video right there. The man literally gets out of his car, and it's sad of how you see the response. Not even the response, because the response was a nice response. I can say that. But the fact that this is I'm going to call it what it is, a failed democratic policy. Literally, all you have to do is play the first 4 minutes of this video, and it's enough. You'll see it's sad. It literally is to hear the gunshots and to feel as a parent you're defenseless while your baby's in there, while your child is in there.
That sits on Arsenal and Kings Highway. They running with guns. We don't know if anyone was injured. They got multiple units. They got everyone you could possibly name right here at this school that sits on Kings Highway in Arsenal. So again, if you have any students or any kids that
I don't know what I would have been thinking as a parent, bro.
right here, the high school that sits right here on Kings Highway, Arsenal. Please call your students, call your whoever you know that attends to the school. They are rushing the students out.
Oh, it's a high school.
Yeah.
School shooting right here. Central Performing Arts School that sits right here on Arsenal and Kings Highway. School shooting. I believe someone was hit. We don't know the condition.
It was a 19-year-old. The shooter was a 19-year-old that graduated last year.
And they still coming. Wow.
Wow.
Oh, wait, you ain't heard shit yet.
They are going inside the school, a school shooting. Wow. I believe some students was hit. They do have the EMS here.
Teacher was killed.
On team from live. They shoot, they shoot, they shoot, they shoot, they shoot, they shoot, they shoot. I just heard a shot. I just heard a shot. Again, this is live. Right here on Kings Highway and pretty much Arsenal. I just heard one shot. We don't know who was hit. Again, please bear with me while we gather more information. I'm going to take cover at this moment. If you have any students that attend to this school right here on Kings Highway in Arsenal. So again, I just heard one shot. We don't know if anyone was hit. They do have the SWAT team. We do have over 100 police officers and riot gear. I just heard one shot. So again, please bear with me while I gather more information. If you have any students that attend to this
About to hear a
school,
bunch more.
Kings Highway and Arsenal, CPA, CDPA.
You know what's crazy? That blue car was actually the shooter's car.
Wow.
A Dodge Charger. Yep, right there. Was the shooter's car.
We don't know if anyone was hit.
Right there was the shooter's car.
SWAT team arriving. So again, bear with me while I gather more information. They shooting.
I just heard that. Wow.
See, look at them going in.
They still shoot. Oh,
Yep.
God. Oh, my God. They shoot. Oh, my God. It's not safe. Oh, my God. Oh, oh my. Oh. Anybody at the school? They shoot. Oh, my God. Oh. They in the school. So again, Red Star News home team. If you have any information while I'm live, please let me know. I just heard over 100 shots. Over 100 shots. Please, if you have anyone that attends to this school, please call and make sure everybody's okay. They still shooting. Get down, y'all, get down. Oh my God, please, if you have any students that attend, please call and make sure they're okay. I'm right here at the high school that sits right here on Kings Highway in Arsenal. I heard over 100 shots. We don't know who was hit. They still shooting. They still shooting. Oh my God. They still shooting. Oh my God. They still shooting. Oh. Please, home team, if you got any information about me, about this incident, please let me know. Please let me know. If you know any information, please let us know. I heard over 100 shots right here at pretty much.
You can stop the video, bro. You know, just replaying that, and I've watched this a few times since yesterday. To sit there and to be a parent and to have kids in high school, to have kids in school, period, I sit here and wonder, how can we protect our children? I don't know what the answer is. I don't know if metal detectors, if having school resource officers are the answer, but something's got to be done. And it's not going to be politics that is going to solve the issue. Because the political, the economic philosophy of Black nationalism only means that we have to become involved in a program of re-education to educate our people in the importance of knowing that when you spend your dollar out of the community in which you live, the community in which you spend your money becomes richer and richer. The community out of which you take your money becomes poorer and poorer. And because these Negroes who have been misled, misguided, are breaking their necks to take their money and spend it with the man is becoming richer and richer, and you're becoming poorer and poorer. The community in which you live becomes a slum. It becomes a ghetto. The conditions become run down. And then you have the audacity to complain about poor housing in a rundown community while you're running down yourselves when you take out your dollar, out. And you and I are in a double trap, because not only do we lose by taking our money someplace else and spending it, when we try and spend it in our own community, we're trapped because we haven't had sense enough to set up stores and control the businesses of our community. The man who is controlling the stores is our community, is a man who doesn't look like we do. Whether you are a Christian or a Muslim or a nationalist, we all have the same problem. They don't hang you because you're a Baptist. They hang you because you're black. They don't attack me because I'm a Muslim. They attack me because I'm black. They attacked all of us for the same reason. All of us catch hell from the same enemy. We're all in the same bag, the same boat. We suffer political oppression, economic exploitation, and social degradation,
Degradation.
degradation, all of them from the same enemy. The government has failed us. You can't deny that. You can't deny that. Man, you can't deny that our government is not failing us, regardless if it's Democrat, if it's Republican, because it's not for us. It's not to better. And I'm not saying that all candidates are like that. I'm not, because some of them do talk differently than what the Democratic view, or let's even say Republican views. We have to start sometimes looking at the person. Just because CNN or Fox wants to say this or that, do your own research. I'm not telling you not to go vote. What I'm telling you to do is, when you go to the ballot, understand that it's Russian roulette you're basically playing. It's roulette. And I ain't gonna say the Russian. It's roulette you're playing. Because you literally have one bullet in there. And I want people to remember this, because if you think, and actually I'm gonna say you got two bullets in there, because 2024 is coming up.
Right.
Another presidential election. So you got two bullets in there, because I'm gonna tell you right now, if we don't get it fixed, this time we only got one more shot before it's all fucked up. I'm going to put it out there. We have literally 2 years, until I'll say 3 years max, until we're in a civil war. And not that civil war that you read about. Not a civil war that you read about. This war is going to look entirely different. And it's already started. It's just not full blown yet. So while you guys are out buying movie tickets to go see Till, not saying that you shouldn't go see it, but while you're going to spend $250 tickets to galas, or you're doing this, you're doing that, remember the time is coming. Are we going to live here in silence? Are we going to stand up, fight back? Are we going to take these chains off? Are we going to really be by any means necessary? And being by any means necessary doesn't mean you're going to go to prison. Doesn't mean you're going to go to jail. But it does mean you're going to stand up to something.
Stand your ground.
Right, and stand your ground. Because we have to understand why America is the way it is.
Right.
And why it's set up the way that it is. So we have to maybe stop going to support certain things because it's damaging our community. We have to understand that. And they don't hate somebody because they're a Republican, or that they're a Baptist, or that they're a Christian. Because you got to look at this, see what else is all there. Because at the end of the day, they might not dislike John Tell because he's as a gay man, but at the end of the day, he's a black gay man.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I'm a black straight man, and they hate me because I'm black. Even though I'm half white, they don't see that.
Right.
All they see is a black man. They don't see John Tell just as a gay man. They see him as a black gay man. But see,
Black
that's
first.
my brother. Oh, go ahead.
I said black first.
Right. And that's what we need to understand of it is, even with the woman, we have to understand that that's a black woman. They're not hating her because she's a woman. They're hating her because she's a black woman. And I don't hate my black sisters. What I want my black sisters to do is to understand, and let's fight together, because yes, I want you to be independent, but we can't be a force if we're not together. If we're not a family, a nucleus, then we can't do this together, because a woman does play a very good big part of the future.
Talk about
But
it.
it has to be together. It doesn't have to be that the woman is in control. Let's be together and do this together where nobody is above anybody, but we're doing it equally.
Mhm.
Because I don't have all the answers. And I know that without a woman on my team, that I can't get to where I need to be. You got to have all the cards. You got to have all the pieces on the board to start off with. If not, it's not going to play out right. The game's never going to play out right if you're playing 5-on-4. It ain't right. So we have to figure out a way to all be equal and to take everybody's opinion, everybody's life perspective equal. And doesn't make it right, doesn't make it wrong, but just to understand that they grew up a different way, that they have a different perspective, that they just see life differently. And don't get mad, don't hate it because you can't understand it. Do what Scott Jensen and Matt Burke and Cicely Davis are out here doing. Listen and learning. And that's what Leon Black Independent Media is about, is we want to educate and re-educate.
That's right.
So I want everybody to rejoice today and Truthful Tuesday and speak your truth. Anything you want to say, John Terrell?
Nah, not really. I think we spoke it all. Like, it's always important to speak your truth, but on Tuesdays, we're gonna make sure that we speak our truth, our experience, no matter what the topic is. Chaz, I want to thank you for always being real with the viewers and making sure that they get a really good, cold hard perspective when it comes to policies, when it comes to the gritty things that happen in your hood. Like, we touch on it on this show. Make sure you follow and subscribe to the Urban Conservative. We have a Facebook page. The Urban Conservative is also on any streaming services that you take part in, whether it's Spotify, Apple, iHeartRadio. He's on there. And we do have the Urban Conservative episodes on the Leon Block's YouTube channel as well. So go ahead and check it out. And if you are watching via YouTube currently, make sure you hit that subscribe button. All right. Yo, Chaz, it's been an awesome episode. This was even with the trigger warnings, shout out when it comes to St. Louis. That is something that really is important for us to talk about. There's a lot of parents that do watch in the morning, and my heart goes out to anyone that was triggered or affected by this, but it's important that we do showcase the truth.
Yes, yes, yes. So until next time, meditate through the pain and celebrate the ties that bond, liberate our people, and educate our youth so we can stop the bloodshed. Be the change. Win or fail, freedom or jail, heaven or hell, wish me well.